Hey y'all, it's Kobe R. Rice, and I'm back again for another weekly creative update. Sorry I'm a little late. I actually just needed a couple days to get my entire creative life information, other parts of my life information, but I am back and I am ready. This podcast hopefully won't be too long, but this is the podcast where I'm giving you guys the quadrimesterly. Did I say that right? Quadrimesterly. There we go. Quadrimesterly update for the first 4 months of 2018 with regard to creative achievements, milestones, goals hit, goals missed. And so I spent a lot of time preparing my documents and things like that. And so, thank you for joining me again. Oh, this is episode number 67. Why don't I know anything about my own podcast? Let me just double check. Me being a hot mess. Here we go. No, it is podcast number 66 of the epic fantastical journey of a Black female sci-fi writer. I am Kobe R. Rice, novelist, director, game designer, etc., creative, CEO, fempire builder of Fempire in Progress. And I am just back here to basically give my creative update. Okay. So, praise the Lord, guys. Grad school is finally over. At least the classes are. So let's get that information. Let's get that on point. Classes are officially over. I think at this point, this being Wednesday, May 2nd, at approximately 12:48 p.m. Mountain Time, I only have one major paper and some grading to do, which is great. So I'll have that done by the end of the week. Oh, and then of course, defending to the committee basically my entire reason for being here and putting, my fate in their hands via a portfolio review that I'm doing tomorrow. So I will be presenting on the King Arthur production, mostly all the positive stuff and the positive aspects of that production. With some exploration as to what the particular challenges were, because I think those are good to recognize and to analyze for learning experiences, right? Okay, so those are the things I have sort of lined up for graduate school, but I just want to literally jump right in to the update. And actually, I was going to add on what I'm starting to call and think of as my own personal portfolio review, which is sort of different than the quadrimesterly update, but just looking at all the pieces and all the intellectual properties that I've been able to produce over the course of my career, doing a resume and review of that maybe every year or every 6 months or whatever. I'm thinking about adding that in to my yearly update. So I was going to do it for today, and then I just decided, no, I need more time to really think about what I've actually done, what I've created, businesses that I've built successfully, businesses that are not going so great or whatever. I'll wait for that to do that at the end of the year. So let's jump right into it. And forgive me ahead of time if I feel or sound a little bit tired. It is the end of the semester, and I am literally just rowing my way across, Schitt's Creek. So just bear with me. Okay, so major things accomplished for graduate school and teaching. And for those of you watching the vlog version of this is basically, you're going to see me going back and forth, like a little bobblehead doll between my notes and between the cameras. So just forgive me ahead of time. But the stuff that I was able to get done for graduate school, the biggest thing, really, which I really want to give myself major props for, is that I am literally now officially pretty much completed or done with the second year out of the 3-year graduate program that I'm a part of. So yay to me. That's a huge deal because it's definitely been a really challenging journey. I'll just leave it like that right now. People are really trying me in this program, but we won't talk about that. But I am officially at the 2/3 mark of my graduate program, which means I am 66% of the way there to graduating and having my MFA, that being my 3rd degree. So I'm really excited about that. Exactly. So that's a lot to celebrate. This semester, I finished out my 4 major classes, which included theater and culture, 2, that's more modern theater, period styles architecture, the dramaturg and the new play process, which was a process for sure. And then the studio workshop, which was essentially the King Arthur production. So those are the classes that I was pretty much really super engaged in throughout the entire semester. I also managed 2 TA-ships at once. Now, mind you, they're only 25% TA-ships, but it's still like literally having to switch back and forth mentally between, the 2 classes, 2 different sets of students, 2 different teachers, 2 different sets of basically like requirements and expectations. So, to a certain extent, I had about the same amount of work as everybody else did. For the first time in my graduate school career, I had about the same amount of work as everybody else. However, like I still had to like sort of manage those 2 worlds, which is like kind of weird sometimes, but still great. And just graded a bunch of papers. This particular graduate school experience is not as comprehensive with the teaching component as my previous graduate school experience, where I was literally the lecturer of record over lecturing the research methodology and statistics courses for nearly three and a half years, actually. And I'm not complaining. I'm just like being real with the nature of the graduate school teaching work. So this time around, I really am more of a teaching assistant than I am like an actual like professor. But it's still like all good in terms of, me just getting all that experience under my belt. So I'm grateful for that. For teaching and I learned a hell of a lot about the history and the international history of horror film, which is great. Not just about the aesthetic movements and, the particular characteristics of horror film, but actually about the industries in the countries that we were studying. So not only did we learn about that country's industry, that film industry, but we also learned about that country's history. And I really do love film history. I didn't realize how much I would really enjoy it because when I approach my filmmaking studies, I usually approach it from a very aesthetic, sort of technical perspective, like how to write, how to do cinematography, how to direct. But sort of the history behind it is also really fascinating to me. And so, I sort of wish I had double majored in film in undergrad alongside sociology. But, whatever. Days long gone, right? So even though I wasn't a full professor of record, I did end up teaching two full actual classes this semester, one on Gothic architecture and one on blackface performance. So those materials will be going into like my creative portfolio in terms of what I can teach and what, preparing lectures and, handouts and worksheets and actually like giving lectures and answering questions and things like that. So that's definitely going to go in there as I develop my entire creative portfolio. I also told you guys a few weeks ago that I finally submitted my prospectus for my Shakespearean MFA thesis, which I'm too exhausted right now to look tired. See, I can't even say the words properly. I'm too exhausted right now to look excited about the Shakespearean thesis, but I am, in terms of, not because this is going to be the most riveting project ever, but more so because this is providing a foundation for like a future either film adaptation series or a television adaptation series that I'll be doing for the future. So having said that, I'm also starting to gear up for the 3rd and final year of my graduate program, which on many levels will necessitate a recusal of myself from the program. Not that I'm leaving the program, but in terms of just like physically stepping back, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, existentially, whatever, like all those things, just stepping back from graduate school. Because this semester, it's been very educational and incredibly edifying. But just like a lot of drama in the drama department. I didn't know how much drama there was in theater. I thought that we kept it, to the stage. But apparently, like, we don't. So, yeah, what can I say? And then when I actually talked to my friends about this outside of this program, who have done, like, drama club and theater in high school and college, they're just like, Colby. Well, they don't call me Colby. They call me by my birth name. But for the purposes of the podcast, Colby, how could you not know that there's all this petty craziness going on in theater departments? And I didn't know. I guess I just thought it was all just like a cute little funny stereotype that we use to, make television and film spicy. But apparently there's a lot of truth to, things like Glee or whatever other drama based series are out there about theater. So I am learning my lesson very much the hard way. And as a result, I will be stepping back, mostly emotionally and spiritually, from graduate school in my third year. But on top of it, I just need the space and the time and the just like the mind space to just be fully immersed, not only in my thesis, but also in my writing, for my brand, my author brand, for my business that I'm trying to build, specifically for Rebel Ragdoll Press Productions and The Bohemian Badass, which, as I told you guys, aren't growing nearly as quickly as I would like them to. But now for this third year, now that I've put all of my work and front loaded all of my responsibilities in the first 2 years of the program, I can now focus this entire year, starting this summer, on the building up my intellectual properties, rebuilding and relaunching The Bohemian Badass, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a lot of things that I have to do in terms of just like taking care of the third year of graduate school that will make room for all of those things. And so I'm preparing to do all of that. But what actually lies ahead for graduate school really are 3 classes mainly. My dramaturg and the experimental play class, where I learn how to dramaturg an actual experimental piece. The directing opportunity for the Erased Play Festival, that's pretty exciting. That's coming up in the fall. I'm doing that. It's not a requirement, but I am doing it because I want the experience, and it counts as an elective, so why not? And then I'll also be looking to take the adapted playwriting course, in the spring of 2019, which will help me to start the adaptation process for Titus Andronicus, which I'm pretty obsessed with as a play. I just love it. And sort of by default and by proxy, I'm becoming more obsessed with the Shakespearean Roman tetralogy. So, I really want to see sort of where that can go. And because Titus for me is the most exciting and the most bloody and like the most challenging play to adapt, I sort of want to start there. But this is just a continuation of my journey as an adaptation writer, creator, and director. Again, I told you guys before that I'm starting to move away a little bit from the title of dramaturg. I'm starting to move away from dramaturgy as a potentially viable field for me for my creative interests. It's great. I know like all the other dramaturgs are great, amazing dramaturgs and are excited to be dramaturgs, but I think at heart I'm a novelist and a director for sure, screenwriter, and entrepreneur. Like those are, and a game designer. Like that's really where my passion lies. But this entire, not only like quadrimester, but this entire journey has really helped me to gain a lot of really amazing skills that will only make all those other art forms that I participate in way better. So that's what lies ahead in that regard. And then this is actually the final paper I have to work on, but like the final paper I need to do before I can completely call myself done with graduate school for this semester is an artist manifesto that also apparently requires some annotations, but an artist manifesto. And I'm actually glad that this is the final paper I have to do, like the final responsibility I have now that all the other stuff from my classes has been handed in and everything else is over and classes are over. I really have been reflecting back on this particular semester, this quadrimester, and my past couple of years in this program, and just on my life as an artist, pretty much starting in, the year 2013. I would say 2012 is when I really started my journey, like the fall of 2012. And just being able to look back on all of that and figure out how I've grown and figure out where I am today and what's important to me as an artist, and being able to write all of that up, I think will be a really great and suitable wrap up for this semester, you know what I'm saying? And for sort of where I want to go as of the summer, sort of artistically. So I'm kind of excited about that. Okay, So let's move on, because if I take this long for each section, we're going to be sitting here forever. So that's what's been going on in graduate school. Main thing is that I have finished the second year out of 3 of my program, and I can't wait to graduate, guys. I really can't wait to like really just get out there and be completely free to pursue the things that I want to pursue. And this will be my last official academic degree, at least I hope, because academia is really trying me. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so creative uni. So you would think I don't really have much time to do any other courses or anything else outside of my graduate school work, but I did find some pockets of time when I just needed a mental break and an emotional break from graduate school to like actually take some other classes. And so you guys know that I'm like obsessed with personal and professional and artistic evolution. Like I always want to get better and learn more things and put more and more tools into my toolkit. I kind of want to be like the Swiss Army knife of art, if that makes any sense. So I took some more classes on so the financial section, because you guys know I'm really not about trying to be a broke ass artist. I do believe that we can make some really smart financial and investment choices with like our businesses, with real estate, with stock, with savings plans, with insurance plans or whatever, and make all smart decisions as artists so that we can like live comfortably while we're doing our art. So you guys know I'm working towards that. So in that vein, I did continue my financial education, and I got through most of the Real Estate Investing 101 signature course, which was really exciting because I learned a whole lot. And my membership actually expired throughout the semester, so I have to redo that. But if you're interested in taking that course, it's run by Andre C. Hatchett at theblackrealestateschool.com, and you can take it even if you're not black, so that's totally fine. It's not about bashing non-black people. It's just about trying to empower the black community with financial education. There's also the Live Richer challenges that I've been looking into. I mean, she has so many. She has the savings challenge, she has the net worth challenge, she has the credit edition challenge, and then there's one other challenge that she has that I haven't taken yet. But like basically just go to Tiffany the Budgetnista's website, and then just look up Live Richer Challenge, and she will really help you to like just get your entire life in order, and it's great. I also did a lot of research and investment in cryptocurrency research, and like one particular course that would get me started. I'm already kind of invested in crypto right now. It's not nearly as major as maybe some other people's investments, but the point is that I've started, and I'm sort of like looking to get more and more educated about it every single day. And so I did a lot of research on that this semester, and then I also enrolled in Dr. Boyce Watkins' The Digital Underground course, and there's a cryptocurrency 101 course associated with that I haven't taken yet, but I've just enrolled in. So that is ongoing, and that's what I've done, and I'll be continuing that education in the future, especially during the summer. Okay, then in the realm of like marketing creative uni, I took the 5 new ways to get Instagram followers class. It was like a master class. I had to like check. I was like, wait, I don't remember that class. I had to check to see like what kind of class it was. But so it was a master class, and they were really going into 2018 for those of you guys, and myself especially, because I would love to be able to learn how to use Instagram more efficiently and more effectively as a business owner for my intellectual properties and for the Bohemian Badass. So that was an interesting class because they really go into how the algorithms have changed, how you can build an audience and a trusting followership or readership or Grahamship, whatever you want to call it, over the course of posting consistent high quality content. And so I'm just starting to kind of really educate myself on that as much as possible. Then, of course, I took some entrepreneurial classes on entrepreneurship. You guys know that, like, for me, entrepreneurship is so, so important, I think that owning your own business and, like, being able to write the checks and you creating a means for yourself to live is really like the way to go in a capitalist system that essentially is like there to exploit. So if you don't own anything, unfortunately, you will be owned. And I don't like it. I don't like how the capitalist system kind of forces us into that dichotomy, but it is what it is. And I just refuse to be owned. So, so that's just how it's going to be. So I took the How to Build Your Business with Your Current Skills Masterclass by, again, Tiffany the Budgetnista. And then you guys know I've been hyping this class up the entire like semester. But the Publish Your Thing course by byregina.com. I basically have been sort of trudging my way through her. There's 10 mini, I wouldn't even call them mini courses because they're like mega courses. But the Publish Your Thing super mega course is comprised of 10 individual courses literally designed to help you build your business or reboot your business from the bottom up. And you guys know I have been going through that course and studying that course and applying the concepts in order to build up and relaunch the Bohemian Badass. And it's already looking 10 times better, even though I'm not where I want to be at the moment in terms of like my relaunch, but I will be by the end of the summer. So that's really exciting for me. But I've been going through the Make Your Site Remarkable Already course that's under Publish Your Thing, and then the Visual Arsenal course that's under Publish Your Thing, and I'll be finishing that out in the second quadrimester. So creative uni that just sounds like weird and silly, right? So the creative uni classes that deal more with like developing creative skills include, so I recently upgraded to Scrivener 3, as you guys know, and it's amazing. I love it, but I still haven't really learned all the little features. So I took some of the courses for that. I haven't finished it. That'll also be finished in quadrimester 2. I've been staying up on the Creative Pen podcast. Obviously, Joanna Penn is amazing, and she just has such great insight into publishing. Excuse me. And she's also very transmedia, which I really love. So she looks into, screenwriting, films, television. She hasn't talked specifically about gaming, but she has talked about virtual reality and augmented reality. And she also even looks into blockchain, which is why, again, like studying cryptocurrency and blockchain is really important, because it's not just about investing as an artist, but the actual blockchain technology is going to be advancing certain fields, including the artistic fields, in the ways in which books are produced and consumed and monetized and everything like that. So not only is staying on top of the current financial and technological trends just smart as a human being being alive, but it's also smart as a business owner and as an artist who wants to make a living with their art. So that's my little spiel. You can take it or leave it. So Creative Pen podcast, she really gets into that. I also just completely fell in love with the How to Create a Binge-Worthy TV Show webinar that I took, so much so that I invested in the actual full classes, because I do want to jump more firmly into writing television. I still want to finish out the Sandman film that I'm working on, the script and the film, and hopefully, if it's successful, turn that into a trilogy. And so film is definitely an interest, but right now I would say that if I could have the perfect, career in filmmaking, 20% of that would be in films and probably 80% of that would be in television. So just keeping real with myself and what I really enjoy and what I love. The How to Create a Binge-Worthy TV Show webinar and the 2 classes that they sold attached to it. I didn't take the classes yet, but I'm excited to take those this summer. And I actually will be taking that in conjunction with writing a TV series, pitch Bible and a pilot, and just designing a TV series around the world of King Arthur with my colleague and I, like I'm 2 people, with my colleague who worked on the King Arthur production with me and the 2 other colleagues this semester. So we're super excited. We're calling it Pendragon. It's going to be essentially like, kind of Game of Thrones-esque, but like just centered in the King Arthur's world. And I'm excited about it because not only are we just more familiar with the source material, but there are different ways in which the material can be presented, different perspectives and different takes on it. I definitely will be working on the Morian storyline, but a more serious, dramatic, sexy storyline as opposed to like a hip hop musical comedy. And I'm super excited. I just want to reveal all these hidden stories, all these things going on with King Arthur's Knights, King Arthur, Merlin. It's just going to be awesome. And right now is a good time to start developing it because Game of Thrones will be going off and ending in 2019. And this is not to say that they want something exactly the same, but people might want their dark fantasy fix. Or they might not. Maybe, it'll be a little too derivative and they'll just like not be a fan of it. But either way, my colleague and I will be developing Pendragon over the summer, and hopefully we'll get a friend of mine who's hooked up in Hollywood to get us in front of some producers, which would be really exciting. So anyway, that's goals. I'm just doing a roundup. I didn't mean to get into goals, but like it's exciting. What am I going to do? I also learned how to use the Dragon Naturally Speaking software, which has been literally a godsend, mostly for my nonfiction essay work. I've used it some for my fiction, but I find that when I'm writing nonfiction, it's a lot easier to dictate when I'm just dictating sort of like fact as opposed to fiction. Or, just something more academic or theoretical. It just flows a little bit better out of my mouth. So either way, the software has been gangbusters for helping me to bust out these papers a little bit more quickly than I'm used to, which is great. And then I also started learning Unity this semester. This quadrimester rather. If you guys don't know what Unity is, it is a game engine and a game development system that allows you to design video games. So I started learning Unity. I didn't really jump full into it yet. That's going to be this summer as well because I will have way more time. And I know I also downloaded the Unreal Engine and 3D game development thing. Software, and so I'll be working on that, those two programs, and learning those programs I guess side by side this summer, which is really exciting. But I did kind of dip my toe into Unity, and I'm super excited because they make the software super approachable, because they want people to use it, they want people to design games on it, so they want to make it as approachable as possible, which I think is really great. And then for personal development, I continue to listen to the Happy Black Woman podcast because I am very invested in being a happy Black woman. I think it's important for women in general to be happy, but especially Black women. I can go all day about like the burdens of the Black women carrying everything in the community on their shoulders. And so I think it's important to also focus on, development of self and happiness and contentment. And I just like to keep that centered and lovely. So let's get into like directing and dramaturgy. So that was the creative uni section. I called that the sort of general graduate school teaching and creative uni section. Like all the stuff I was learning, all the things that like went into my brain this semester, that was that section. But let's talk about my creative output for this semester, which I thought was significant and fantastic. And even if the end product wasn't exactly everything I wanted it to be, the learning process and the development of my creative skills was like, I developed and grew in leaps and bounds, and I'm just super excited about it. So I kicked off the year by directing the 2018 slam poetry piece for our MLK Day here at UA Presents, which was really exciting. And there were two performers, actually three, if you count the performer's daughter, which was really great. I actually saw myself for this particular event more of a producer than I did see myself as a director. Because slam poets and poets in general sort of already have a certain style. And I just don't know if you can tell a poet how to poet, It's just more sort of like, I'm managing all the logistics of this. Here is like the potential blocking you could use. Here are the materials you have, your mic. This is when you come out. This is, me like, hyping you up, and me being a buffer between, you and, the other managerial, administrative people around. So I really do see myself as being more of a producer in that regard, as opposed to like a director. But either way, the performance was amazing and I really enjoyed it. So I loved kicking off the year with that under my belt and having that experience with my colleagues. The second one, the biggest one, and I've been talking about this all semester, is my directing of the Death of King Arthur production in conjunction with my 3 colleagues and our supervisor. So just briefly take you through the entire process from beginning to end. I mean, it started the first thing that I really did for this process was like write the casting notice and be able to. I actually put effort into casting diversely, because it was important for me for the Morian storyline to have Black actors. And we're in Tucson, Arizona, which is extremely white, but also we have like a lot of Mexican and Native American Indian populations here, which is great, but not really many Black people. So I really had to kind of go balls to the wall to find the people that I needed for the production. So we held the auditions, then we did the research and story adaptation work. We went to like weekly research and writing meetings prior, like the entire semester we've been working on this. So for like the first 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 7 to 8 weeks before we started getting into the rehearsal room, my colleagues and I had weekly writing meetings, which were really helpful. I developed the Morian beat sheet from beginning to end, from the research and adaptation work all the way to the beat sheet, all the way to the entire script. And as you guys know, I had turned it eventually into a hip hop medieval musical so the final script, I think, was nearly 30 pages long with a 6-page libretto. For those of you who don't know what a libretto is, those are just the song lyrics for the musical. And then the sound designer for the show, Tyler Berg, created 3 scores for the Morian storyline, which I was super excited about. So that was an entire process in and of itself. And then, so we did like production packet creation for the actors. Like we cast the actors. We like went prop shopping and wardrobe shopping. Then for the first 2 weeks, we did like a lot of moment making, and that's a devising technique that was brought in by our supervisor from his former theater, where we experiment with the elements of the stage, like light, sound, architecture, props, costume, etc. And sometimes text, because we try to leave text out as much as we can until we're done devising. But we use all those elements to try to create different images and different, like, I guess, on-stage experiences that aren't necessarily dictated by text. So we did that. And in total, I created 17 moments. And then a lot of the ensemble that I was working with, my part of the ensemble, did a few moments of their own. And they all had brilliant ideas, and it was great. So then we polished the script. Once we started like moment making, and then we decided after the end of week 2 that we needed to like finish writing. We did that. I polished the script. I then combined my script with everybody else's scripts, and then we went through and then we like started cutting, tightening, creating transition moments and everything like that. We had a table read, and then we edited more. Then we actually like did bona fide rehearsals where we had the script in hand and we were actually like staging and blocking the scenes on the actual black box stage or in the space. And that was a challenge because, when you're staging a musical is very different than staging, a straight narrative piece or even staging a post-dramatic piece. There are just certain rules and conventions of musical theater that make a musical look really good, that you have to sort of consider. And I'm learning on the job at this point. So I think there are a lot of decisions that I made that were great. And then there were some decisions that I made that like were not so great. So we had to work with that. And then some decisions that I made that were really great, but then were sort of, written over in the rehearsal room. And, we can always get into that. But like I said, I'm trying to keep it positive. Okay, so um oh, one thing that I really enjoyed, the part that I really enjoyed about this is that we were able to bring in a stage combat expert, which was great. I've always like, this is like my dream, because even though the Morian musical wasn't an action film, I do want to film action movies and horror and sci-fi, but mainly action movies. And so working in tandem with an actual combat director and fight choreographer was a great experience for me personally, but also for my actors, because the part of the program they're in doesn't necessarily provide those opportunities to learn stage combat. And so I was really excited to provide that opportunity for them, but then also learn what it was to work in tandem with the choreographer. And he was amazing, and I love him. He's awesome. Then we ran the show, we did dress rehearsal, we teched the show, and then we opened. And major announcement, which I did not tell you guys before. Our show got nominated for an award on campus. So yay to us, despite all the drama and crazy. We got nominated for what's called an Alfie Award. Now, it's an internal award that's given to within the theater department for different categories, like, best lead actor, best supporting actor, best, ensemble, etc. And so Generator got nominated for 2 awards. We got nominated for Best Overall Studio Series Production, and we also got nominated for Best Ensemble category. So, which was really exciting. So I'm really happy about that. And when I first heard about it, I was like, did some faculty members start nudging people or whatever? I'm not really sure how these decisions are made, but it was nice to know that we got nominated nonetheless. That was really great. And it put a nice little cherry at the end of a really stressful semester. So I'll just end with that. That was really great. We got nominated for an award. So what? Does this like make us award nominated directors now? I mean, can I put that on my resume? I don't know. I have to ask. And then for the post-production part of it, aside from getting nominated, I then wrote a final paper and assessment of the process, which was a requirement of me doing this whole thing. But also very helpful for me personally to see sort of where I did really well and then where I could improve in the future. And that's really what I really care about, is just getting experience and improving. We also sent out a survey to our cast and our crew for feedback on their experience and what they felt worked and what didn't work. So I'm really excited to get feedback from them on that, if possible. So that I can know directly like what I can do to improve as a director, So that was a huge opportunity and a huge responsibility, and incredibly crazy making, but incredibly edifying as well as an opportunity. So those were my directing experiences thus far. In the first quadrimester, I directed 2 shows, which is great. And then dramaturgy, I essentially finished a 3-round dramaturgical process on 2 10-minute plays that were geared towards the commissioning of works from scratch around a particular theme, that theme being erasure. So that was a significant experience. And although, like I said, I don't see myself being a dramaturg in the future, I did enjoy the process with these 2 playwrights. They are amazing. They're full of life and ideas. They're very much centered in their raw truth. They're Black playwrights, and we will be producing their works on stage in the fall, and I'm super excited. I unfortunately won't be able to direct them, but I will be the dramaturg in the room, helping the plays to be realized the way that they need to be realized on stage, but then also translating a lot of what's happening on the floor back to my playwrights so that they can continue their work. So that was exciting. And as a result, I produced 2 final new play process protocols for each playwright, which essentially includes like the play versions, the notes that I gave, reflections, images, media that will help people to understand like the theme of the plays. It included like introductory material, things like that. So that's really great, and it's a really great addition to my portfolio. I also actually was able to complete not only those 3 rounds for each playwright and conversations involved in those rounds, but I also was able to manage a Skype reading of the plays to my playwrights, which was really great and helpful, hopefully, to them. So that was like, I did a lot of really great work as a dramaturg this semester, I think. As you can tell from my tired face, I am pretty positive that the work was on fleek. So nobody can convince me otherwise. And then you guys know also that I was a participatory dramaturg for a full length playwright for 2 of her plays, 1 adapted piece and 1 original piece. And dramaturging both of those plays was definitely an edifying experience in more ways than one, absolutely. And I definitely learned a lot about, I guess, the differences between adaptation dramaturgy and original play dramaturgy. I know for a fact that there's a lot more room to learn a lot more about the differences between these things, and there's more room for a deeper dive on both of these plays. But unfortunately, my playwright was not really able to extend the relationship and the dramaturgy in the way that I personally would have loved, which is fine. Like, that she's busy. And so I say that to say that there's more work that can be done here. There's more exploration and more learning that can be had. But I'm happy for what I did experience this semester. So I ended up dramaturging like 2 full-length plays and 2 10-minute plays, gearing those 10-minute plays towards a festival that we will be producing in the fall. We're doing really good work. And at the end of all of that, I was also able to produce a full dramaturgical protocol for my full-length playwright and her plays. And I also, I realized too that I'm really into like mixed media. So some of the, most of the materials that I submitted for my protocol are written, but 2 of them are like podcasts that I recorded, like reflection podcasts, because that's what I do here, and I really enjoyed doing that. So I don't know, I'm not saying I'm gonna open a dramaturgical podcast in the future, but I really do enjoy the multimedia, transmedia approach that I take towards my art and towards dramaturgy and towards just how I engage with the world. And some people don't really understand that or like that, but that's just too damn bad. That is my dramaturgical voice, so just deal with it. Okay, so anyway, moving on. That wasn't toward you guys. That was shade being thrown at other people. Okay, I'm getting a text from a friend not really spoiling, but basically saying that he's seen Avengers Infinity War, which I have not seen yet, but I will be seeing Friday morning. Thank goodness. It's been killing me that I wasn't able to go see that on opening night, but anyway, I digress. Let's move on. Okay, so let's talk about what got done this quadrimester for the Rebel Ragdoll businesses. And actually, now that I look at this, quite a lot. How am I able to do all of this? Anyway, let's just get into it, because this is going to be a long section. Oh my goodness. Am I going to have to take a break? I might have to take a break for a few minutes. This might be a long ass podcast, guys. I mean, just FYI, which is okay. It's fine. Whatever. You don't have to listen to the whole thing, but I know I'm going to go back and listen to this years later and just be bowled over by how insane I am. Okay, so Rebel Ragdoll businesses and what happened with those this quadrimester. So for Rebel Ragdoll as a whole, as if we're looking at the entire conglomerate, I hate calling it a conglomerate because it just sounds so pretentious. It's not like I'm Time Warner or anything, but Rebel Ragdoll is supposed to be an umbrella brand for the other businesses. So whatever, conglomerate in process, let's call it that. I finished business purchases, so all the software and stuff that I needed for Rebel Ragdoll, all my subsidiaries, that's all been bought, and I've made my investments, and I'm excited about that. I finished my home artist studio. It's not really a studio, but it's stuff that I need to do the art that I need to do. So I have my equipment, I have my Adobe Creative Suite stuff, I have my game design software, like I told you guys earlier, my writing and publishing software, and then my blogging and marketing software. So I'm super excited about all of that. It's just good to like feel prepared going into the summer, like to do all the stuff that I need to do. Okay, so just newsflash, the Black Heart Boulange, which I was talking about earlier this year and last year, is still very much on the docket, but I've decided to put a pin in that, probably until I would say late 2019, specifically because I did a lot of research. That's mainly what I did this semester. I did a lot of research on what it would take to set up my space for opening the Black Heart Boulange, which means like for the Black Heart Bakery, that would be like baked goods. For the Black Heart Boudoir, that would be like natural hair care and like skincare goods and stuff like that. And then there are certain things that I just have to do in terms of setting up my actual physical space that I'm not really prepared for right now, unfortunately. And I would love to focus on it, but I know if I do, that's going to be a really deep rabbit hole that I personally sort of want to save for when I get back to New York. So that's just FYI. But in the meantime, I did continue to update, continued designing, and continued editing the websites for the Black Heart Boulange Bakery and Boudoir. So that still came along this semester. And then, like I said to you guys before, it'll be on hiatus until fall 2019 or fall 2020. But what I do want to do between now and then is still create, or at least ruminate on, viable business models for those entities, as well as like my product line. So that's something I can develop and do and test and taste test between now and then. And so that is not, the fact that I can't open now is not really stopping anything. So whatever. And I'm actually happy that I'm forced to put a pin in it, because I really did come to the realization this semester, this quadrimester, that I want to focus on my novel IPs and creating TV series and writing films, and actually like eventually making a film. So I really want to get my IP game up. And because I'm in this sort of space of deep focus and I'm trying to focus on one thing at a time, focusing on my novel writing and then on my TV series writing and on finishing that screenplay for Sandman, that's enough right now. So for The Bohemian Badass, you guys know I've been working through the Publisher Thing course. And so as a result, a lot of things for The Bohemian Badass have been created. So I just want to jump into it. I did fully outline what's called the Breaking Badass Challenge. That's sort of going to be a mystery challenge that I want you guys to stay tuned for in the future. Basically, it will deal with how to take your first step in creating your own personal artistic business. And of course, like, while I'm endeavoring to get to the place where I want to be personally, it doesn't mean that I can't teach the steps that I've already mastered. So this is why it's called Breaking Badass. Kind of like Breaking Bad, but like in the vein of The Bohemian Badass. Get it? But anyway, you know what I mean. So that's fully outlined, and I'll be working on that this summer. The Self-Care Journal for Artists, Entrepreneurs. I was telling you guys about this at the beginning of the semester because I did actually create all the inside content and the things that I want to be inside of a self-care journal. And I've also been keeping my own self-care journal with regard to exercise, sleep, my creative progress. So for world building, for words written, for scripts, if I'm writing scripts, pages written, projects finished, etc., etc. And then even recently too, because I've been thinking about potentially trying out a vegan lifestyle. Ooh, my goodness. I've been tracking what I've been eating every day to see like where I can sort of veganize my life. That's a whole separate conversation that I'll talk about in the self-care section. But like, the self-care journal that I've been working on is very much still in play. I have not dropped it. I have not forgotten about it. I've just been adding more things to the content. And so I'm looking to use Adobe InDesign this summer to actually design the journal over the summer so I can release it as soon as possible. So that's still on the table. That's still something I've worked on and I am continuing to hone. And I will release at The Bohemian Badass. So I've also worked on the Bohemian Badass Scrivener templates that will also be available. Most of them, not all of them. But I honed the Plot Like a Badass template, which will eventually be offered alongside the Plot Like a Badass signature course, which is coming in the summertime. I updated and finished my Badass Horror Novel Scrivener template and the Screenplay template, which, because it's designed off of the Creating a Terrifying Horror Script class at Screenwriting U, I can't give to you guys because it's not my intellectual property, but I worked on it, so yeah. And then I worked on a plot builder new novel template, which again will be offered alongside the Plot Like a Badass course. So definitely was working on that. Pretty much finished it, honestly. I'm sure there are always things I can continue to tweak, but I feel really happy with where all those things are right now. So that's how I'm rolling. The podcast was like a flop this quadrimester. I only recorded one episode, basically laying out my goals and my dreams for the Bohemian Badass this year, which I do want to come to fruition, but I just didn't have time to do it throughout the school year for obvious reasons, directing and whatnot and grad schooling and everything like that. The Bohemian Badass blog also got very little love this quadrimester. I wrote one blog post, but what I like about the blog post that I wrote was that I recorded a video tutorial along with it, and I do believe that I want all of my posts on thebohemianbadass.com to be multimedia. So a blog version, an audio version, a video version, just for whoever wants to be able to enjoy the content however they want to enjoy it. It'll all be available for them. I think I do want to offer that. And so it was a nice step forward into how I want the Bohemian Badass to be set up. And then I jumped into the complete business reboot. So I started redesigning the website, my graphic templates, for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, my blog posts, YouTube cover templates. I just designed all of my branding, or rather I redesigned all my branding for the Bohemian Badass. So that, if you see any of my stuff online, either on YouTube or Twitter or wherever, you're going to know immediately that that's mine. It's the Bohemian Badass because of the very specific branding that I've given to sort of this new version of the Bohemian Badass. So I did that. I also worked on ebook cover templates and workbook cover templates for the Bohemian Badass because I will be releasing ebooks on craft, on writing, on filmmaking, on writing, whatever skills I feel like I've mastered or I have a good perspective on. I'll be writing materials up to teach people about it. And so I had to create ebook covers, and I am super amped. They look super sexy. For somebody who didn't get a degree in graphic design, like I feel very confident and happy about what I'm producing. So super amped about that. And I also love the workbook covers I've designed as well. So yeah, so I've been just working on the entire, what Regina would call at byregina.com, the visual arsenal of the Bohemian Badass. And that's still in process, but I definitely made a lot of progress with that this quadrimester. And then finally for I can't even say my business name, for the Bohemian Badass, I developed a really sexy affiliate plan that I'm really excited about. So again, I have to continue to sort of finish out the courses that I'm taking and finish out the pre-launch preparation, but I'm really excited about what affiliate accounts and sales can really do for the bottom line of the Bohemian Badass. And what I'm most excited about with regard to becoming an affiliate is for me personally, being ethical as an affiliate is super freaking important. It just is. And I don't really ever want to advertise a product or an experience or a piece of software to you guys that I am not using and that I'm not super amped and excited about. So I'm just really excited to not only get into affiliate marketing, but also get into just living ethically as an affiliate, because I know a lot of people out there kind of like are not. And so I would like to be like a shining example of how you can be a blogger, be an infopreneur, be a creative, teacher, and also like make a passive income, but like do it ethically and in a way that's going to help people while you're also helping yourself. So I'm excited about that. New Adult Noir. So you guys know that I put New Adult Noir on like a semi-hiatus this semester. But even so, in the beginning of the year, I wrapped up the 2017 25 Days of Box Sets giveaway, which I personally thought was a pretty good success. But I think that there should have been some more additions or changes to how I ran it. So I'm still not really sure if I'll be doing it again this year. I have to think about that. I really want to make it an even better experience for authors and for readers. So, but I'm still happy with the results of it. So I'm excited. Spent a lot of time cleaning and updating a lot of my subscribers list, not only from 2017, but from this year. And as a matter of fact, because it's the end of the quadrimester, it's actually time for me to do a little bit of list cleaning and clean out my cold subscribers. So I'll be doing that over the summer. But until, as of like now, all of my lists are really nicely segmented by genre, by like, books read, by whatever. So I'm really poised to do some really intense marketing research on my current readership, which I'm excited about. And actually, which I've done, which I'll get into in the next half of the video. But, I also, oh my gosh, this quadrimester, I also created a really kick-ass lead magnet for New Adult Noir, which consists of like a lot of public domain material, but it's really incredible and like great. Like, so a lot of the Sherlock Holmes stories I combined with, who else do I have in there? Edgar Allan Poe, and like some sci-fi writers and some mystery writers to create like a really great, dark and gritty 20 book set that is being offered at my book blog, New Adult Noir. And that's actually been pretty popular. Like, people really enjoy having that and reading that and having, all the, like the darker and grittier sides of these authors' stories like in one place. So, that I'm really excited about that. I'm glad that I did that this semester. But yeah, it's a really great gift that you get for free just for signing up to my email list. And like, who wouldn't want to do that? So I kept up with that, and then I updated New Adult Noir as a website. And then so I guess we weren't completely dormant this entire quadrimester. I also ran January and February free book promos at my website. And then I skipped March because March was just like too crazy for me to do anything at New Adult Noir. But then I started doing my author exclusive promos at New Adult Noir. And those were actually pretty successful and popular. Although I'm starting to realize that I have to sort of do some more development of my readership in certain ways, which, I'll get into not even on this podcast, but like later down the line. For Rebel Ragdoll Press. And then for me personally, I finally finished my story contribution for the 2054 anthology. It is done, and not only is it done, but I've already finished the significant paper edit of my story. It ended up being 22,093 words in total, which is like way over the requirement. And I'm editing it. I finished editing it, and I'm going to be applying the paper edits to my actual electronic document this week, and then I'll be submitting the final version. But yes, it is 22,000 words, 75 pages, printed on 8.5 by 11 pages, and gosh, that is a breath of fresh air, honestly. It's called The Camille. It is, I'm not even going to tell you what it's about, actually. I want it to be a surprise, but it's called The Camille. And as you guys might have heard from me in previous podcasts, basically The Camille, as a short story, ended up becoming really like the pilot episode in a 10-episode series. that I haven't even finished writing yet, and I probably won't even continue to write for like another year or two. But I was working on it, and I was like, well, this does have the potential to be an actual, full length, not only serialized novel that's divided in 10 episodes, but it can also be translatable into an entire season 1 of like a potential TV series, right? So that's what I'm doing now, basically repurposing that one story into a pilot episode that I will actually have in script form once I'm done, rebooting and revamping the entire story. That then can be sort of retooled into an entire 10 episode season, and also like a 10 episode serialization of a novel. So it basically essentially ended up kicking off an entire intellectual property that I did not expect. And yeah, so I mean, I'm not as invested in the Camille storyline at the moment as I am with other properties, because other properties have bigger worlds and more developed worlds and characters that I'm really, really invested in. And the Camille still feels a little bit foreign to me, which is why I have to put it away and put it back into the ether. But the great thing is that I have the short story. The anthology is underway. It should be published by the end of the month in both ebook and paperback form. And on top of it, like, this one short story has basically spun off into 2 other major intellectual properties that I can put on my project slate. So win-win. Super excited about that. That is coming out this May, along with the other 3 stories in the 2054 world. So stay tuned for that. I also published the paperback versions of The Given and The Taken, which I just have to keep showing this to you guys. Just give me a second, because I'm just so proud. Like, you guys don't know how long it took. Maybe I'm going to get my notes off of the screen. You don't know how long it took to get these 2 books into their own separate paperbacks. How do I do this? Here we go. Okay, it took forever. I already had the omnibus version of these 2 books in paperback form, but just having these 2 individual paperbacks for me is a major milestone and sort of completes my desired trinity for each of these stories. So I have paperback, audiobook, and ebook versions out for The Given, The Taken, and the omnibus version of the 2, which is called Ghosts of Koa for now. Although, FYI guys, Ghosts of Koa will probably be going out of print by the end of this year, because I am just honing the Books of Ezekiel brand, making it more sophisticated, and just making it more intelligible for people who are coming into the series as a whole. So just keep your eye on that. But that's what the press has gotten done this year. The press has put out paperbacks thus far, and its contribution to an anthology. So we will have a publication under our belts finally, after like years of just working on stuff. We'll have that in May. Then we have Rebel Ragdoll Productions, which I didn't really do much for specifically with regard to intellectual property, except that I, in this sort of area of my life, I gained a lot of directing experience, which is completely valuable. And I really am super happy that I started my directing career with these opportunities this year, because once I start directing a film, I think there'll be more of a dependence on like me executing a vision, and so I had to get practice in doing that this semester. So gaining directing experience, and then just actually doing some more shopping for Rebel Ragdoll Productions, not buying anything, but figuring out the kinds of software that I need for scheduling and budgeting, like what I can get away with. Like, do I have to invest in Movie Magic budgeting and scheduling, or can I do like, the Gorilla budgeting and scheduling software, those other people that make similar programs but like that work just as fine. So just more research and development behind the scenes was happening for the production house. No actual work on intellectual properties yet, but that's going to change this summer when I work on the Sandman script. And then the dollhouse, I really wanted the dollhouse sort of subsidiary to have a much bigger presence this semester, this quadrimester. But it just didn't, because I just didn't have the time. So I only recorded one vlog post for the dollhouse. And I look forward to doing more of those posts throughout the summer. But as you guys know, the dollhouse is slated to be the like charitable philanthropic arm of the Rebel Ragdoll Fempire I'm trying to build, to help single moms who are artists and creatives to really realize their dreams, build their creative businesses, and create viable livings, incomes, and careers off of their art. So that's something that's really important to me. And so in addition to just like putting up inspirational vlogs and coaching vlogs and things like that, I also not only want to get into like artistic teaching, but also just get into just having conversations about single motherhood that's mother and child focused and less focused on what society believes about single motherhood. So there will be some sort of just like general single mom struggle, life inspiration stuff going on as well. And I know the mommy blog thing is pretty much overdone, but I don't know if you really see any. I think I've found maybe one or two single Black artistic mothers with blogs. And one of them is not as specific as I am with my art. She just looks into like single mom businesses and then like creativity, I think. So I think there's a real niche there for, women who want to be comfortable and take care of their children and provide a great life, but who also want to make a living with their art. So that will eventually be a really great hub for, like, again, artistic teaching, single mom life inspiration, but then also artistic investment, business building, and entrepreneurship. And also, again, you guys know I'm really about the pillars of economic freedom. And so we'll be talking about those issues as well on the Dollhouse vlog. So those are my businesses, and that's what I was able to get done for those this quadrimester. And if you're just like not feeling listening to this hella long podcast, then that's totally cool. I totally get you. You can just check out the bulleted notes below and get your life and move on. That's totally fine. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. Okay, next section. We're talking about marketing and maintenance and community. And this semester's been really interesting where marketing is concerned. Sorry, clearly I just wasn't ready to jump into the section because I'm just moving around and whatever. Anyway, so this quadrimester I focused more on quality as opposed to quantity with regard to marketing. And this not only concerns my interactions with my readers and with other authors, but just in general, it concerns how I am presenting myself as an author and presenting my intellectual properties as a part of my business model to the world. So I did a general reboot of a lot of my websites and squeeze pages because as an author, just FYI, or even just as any artist, you still need to be very aware of the marketing conventions and the things that are going to help you develop a reader base and develop a consumer base. And some of those conventions include how to set up a website, how to set up a landing page, how to set up what we call ethical bribes, wherein, for example, if you want to build a reader list, you have to give them a reason, right, in order to join your list. So you offer one of your books for free in exchange for their email. If they want the book, then they have to tell you where to send it, right? And so as a result, they get a really great free book or collection of books, if you're really lucky to have a big backlist. And then they're on your mailing list and you now have a direct connection with them where you can offer them more awesome goodies and even eventually retool them into a buyer. So we call that sort of warming up your leads or having warm leads. Whereas, like, if you're just trying to get random people on your website, to come in, like, those leads are kind of cold. And so there's a whole, like, lexicon and ideology behind how you are supposed to maintain, or what the best practices are, rather, to maintaining any business online. And having a lead magnet, having opt-ins, having ethical bribes, and then having a system for communicating with the people who are coming into your email list. All those things are necessary to building a better relationship with your readers, and also just building up a base from which you can actually have a sustainable career. So I did a lot of work on that, doing squeeze pages, landing pages, and what have you, re-uploading books to all distributors, like the new versions of them. I did a complete reboot of my author reader greeting email system. Because for my particular readers, when you join my list, which I hope you guys will, you get the free first novel in my series called The Books of Ezekiel. And as I write more series and more books, I actually will offer you more free books from each of those series. But for now, I only have the first book in Books of Ezekiel available. When you enter my system and you're on my list, I have a series of greetings and sort of getting to know you emails that are set up to come to you at certain times. Not all at once, obviously, but the welcome email, then making sure you got your free gift, introducing myself, introducing, the next book in the series, introducing you to my other series that I'm working on, and then just little by little developing a relationship with my readers, because that's really important to me, and it's also important for business, right? And so that system I completely revamped. And since then, I have seen, like, literally, I would only get an email from a reader maybe once in a blue moon, but I get waves of emails from readers now. And I actually take the time, yes, at this point, I do take the time to respond to every single email that I get from a reader. Because just FYI, if you guys are watching, any of my readers, you guys are really amazing. The way that you're supporting my novels and just like my world that I'm trying to build, and like becoming a part of Off World, which is my community of readers and VIP street teamers. Just that's a really great feeling for me to know that like you guys are actually enjoying my work and that you're giving me amazing feedback and you can't wait for the next book to come out. I have over 400 of you waiting for Hollow Point, which is the next book in the series. And so it's just nice to be able to communicate with readers, especially now that I'm getting more and more interacting with me. And that is completely due to the fact that I rebooted my entire email welcome system to make people feel more welcome, to open up dialogue, to get them more engaged. So that's something I definitely took a lot of time on in terms of my achievements this quadrimester, and it has really started to pay off in leaps and bounds and help me to have a tighter relationship with readers, which is great. And speaking of a tighter relationship with readers, I also did a reader survey in the course of this to figure out like who's on my list. So there are slightly more women than men on the list, mostly Americans, but then I have people from different parts of the world like South Africa, Ireland, even some Asian countries, a few people from like Russia, and like Western Europe. I don't really have many Eastern European subscribers, so I might aim to change that in the future. Some places in South America and Africa. And so it's just, and of course, Canada, the UK, and Australia, and the US. Those are my biggest markets right now. But the fact that like my books and my brand has drawn a literal international audience is like really incredible, and I'm really grateful. So that was a major step up for this quadrimester. And then finally, I was able to update, or at least start updating, my Patreon page, because I really do want patronage and subscriber and reader support, if you guys want to give it, available, to help just create another stream of income so that I can continue to make my art, release awesome books, make movies, design TV series, etc., etc. So I did do a complete reboot and relaunch for my Patreon page. There are two parts of the page that I do want to update and revamp over the summer. So I'll be doing that as well. But the point is that Patreon is up. It is ready for any donations you want to give. Tease. If you want to support Colby R. Rice's artistic career, writing career, every single patron helps, and every single donation counts in terms of helping me to be able to do my art full time, if you like it enough. So I have 2 patrons now, so I'm super excited and I'm super humbled. So just an FYI to you guys. So as I mentioned to you guys before, under the marketing umbrella, we have Reader Community, which I told you guys is already becoming way more engaged now that I'm more engaged. So focusing on that quality versus quantity. I also am growing my Facebook Reader Community. Now, it's not nearly as huge as some other Facebook people who have like followings and who are bigger, more well-known authors than I am, who've been in the field longer, who have way more books and a bigger audience. But still, as of today, I have 16 members of the Dark Council of Offworld. And so the Dark Council is essentially my Reader Street team. And those are like the super fans, those who are going to get pretty much every single one of my books for free in exchange for reviews. People who love my work that much that they're willing to be, reviewers, and sometimes beta readers, which is great. And so a lot of people do apply, but or they want to apply, but the people who really make it in are those who have already reviewed my books, because I don't know if people are going to be actively helping the reviews to get published if they already haven't reviewed a book that they've read of mine. So I'm really just very carefully curating who gets to be a part of the Dark Council, but I have 16 members so far, and it's growing, and I'm excited. Let's see. So then there are 5 members to the general Offworld Facebook community, and that actually Offworld, the Facebook community of Offworld, is pretty much open to all readers on my list. I don't think people really knew that or are aware of that, but I do want to basically send out an email. Let's see. Probably around end of June, early July, after I've cleaned my list. But send out an email to people to have them join the Offworld Facebook community. And the benefit of being a part of these communities is that, you'll get to like have live Facebook time and FaceTime and face chat with me, because I'll be doing live casts inside of these groups. These groups will be offered specific, really kick-ass, sexy giveaway prizes, like carefully curated, like dystopian survival sets, which include like not only like cool little like things like from like prepper communities or underground communities or grounded communities, but it will also include, like, for example, a collection of dystopian novels, mine included, with signed paperbacks and stuff like that. Posters, skins, just for like your laptop or for your cell phone, movie tickets, if there's like a dystopian movie or like a movie that's in our genre coming out soon, I would love to offer those tickets as like for raffle. So, and if you're a part of the Dark Council off-worlding list, the prices will be even better and you get even more benefits. So that's something that I did start in terms of just opening the communities, and I'm still designing how I want to run all the communities. And that will also go up over the summer. But I'm excited because, yeah, these are my 2 Facebook communities that I really want to grow as much as I possibly can. And I'm just excited. Even with my few members, they're still like really amp and really just into like being a part of the community, and I really appreciate that. So that's my reader community. My co-creator community, right now, because I've taken a break from promotions and not only hosting them but just also participating in them. That those communities are pretty much sort of on autopilot right now. Um, my personal community has grown through continuing online interactions, and it tends to grow when I host my own giveaways at newadultnoir.com. So, there's no rush on that for me. I had to have a pretty good standing for like a unknown author in the community. People tend to like and trust me, and I tend to like and trust them. So I'm happy with that, where that is, and I'm willing to let that grow organically. Sort of the biggest push this semester, or sorry, I keep saying semester, but this quadrimester with author community was really forming a tight bond with the other three authors in the 2054 anthology. So even though I wasn't growing, my larger community by leaps and bounds with regard to authors, again, it's about that quality over quantity. So I think we're definitely going to come together. I'm actually pretty positive we're going to come together maybe on a yearly basis or something like that to release more novels in the 2054 universe. So, we'll see. And then just more about my co-creator community. I am strongly considering creating what I call the Black Media Maven Mastermind, which is going to be a community of Black female creatives who are interested in running businesses in media. Because I realized, I looked around, and I was just like, man, some of my closest friends are involved in entertainment and media, and they're all like single, badass Black women. 3 out of 5 of us have children. And so I'm just like, why haven't we come together to like join forces like the Avengers, like the Black female Avengers? One of us is pretty much at the forefront of women in comics and has her own group, series of groups, and she also has her own comic book company, which is great. So I'm going to be inviting her in. Another one of us is a writer, novelist, and publisher like me, but she also heads up the Gullah Geechee Southern Film Festival that features sci-fi, fantasy, and paranormal films made in and made about the South, specifically like the Gullah Geechee sort of culture, which is like on fleek and amazing. And I think she's going into like her 5th year or something hosting it. So I'm just like, no, she needs to be a part of that. Another one of us is building her fempire, her media fempire in African publishing and in blogging and in trying to educate Africans, back in her home country and across the continent about independent publishing and taking your power back through independently publishing your own work. So that's on point. Another one of us isn't exactly a media person, but she uses like her science background to help design and test like beauty products and is building a business on that. So I'm just like, okay, there's beauty in the media. You could be a part of it too, So and then there's another one of us who's like super young in the game. I'm super young in the game, I think, but she's like just starting, who like very sweetly, I guess, considers me her role model, which I think is like really humbling and I'm just really flattered, honestly. I really am, and I just love her. So I'm just like, she's under my wing, and I want to bring her into the Black Media Maven Mastermind as well. And she also wants to do publishing, but specifically for, I think, action, paranormal, thriller, and then like YA stuff. And she's actually living in, is it China right now as a teacher? So that's it. She has an interesting perspective on publishing and markets over there, which I'm interested in getting involved in. So like that, in terms of expanding my co-creator community, I definitely feel as though the Black Media Maven Mastermind will be a thing over the summer. And the great thing about it is that we can do things like, for example, hire a grant writer across like the 5 or 6 of us to just write grants for our organizations, and then we split the money. Just like I'm thinking about like things like that will help our growth that we as individuals don't really have time to put into, but if we join forces, we can see growth in our own ways and together. So and it would also be like an accountability group. So I'm putting that together. Lots of this stuff will be happening starting like literally Monday next week, in terms of me getting on all these things that I'm claiming will happen over the summer. But Yeah, that's something I have been really thinking super hard on. And I do want to keep the Black Media Maven Mastermind like super small, because I kind of just want to keep it concentrated and focused and bringing people who I know are dedicated to building their businesses into fempires and who actually want to be successful CEOs and who are going to work well together. And I just feel awesome. It just feels very powerful to be amongst these women. And I just want to get us all in one space, basically, is what I'm trying to do. So moving on, more marketing, blogging, and vlogging. I recorded, uploaded, and posted a total of 14 episodes for my podcast that you are watching right now and listening to right now, which is great considering the fact that I've been swamped the entire semester. But I've still been able to keep up with blogging and vlogging. And so it just, for me personally, shows how dedicated I am to this blog and podcast, which is great. I added one episode to my Unapologetically Melanated Media Crypt vlog, which I do want to get up and running and back on point. That's the vlog that where I used to record reviews on like my favorite shows like Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, The Walking Dead. I really do want to resurrect that just like as like a creative outlet with my own little twist on the events that are happening and popping off. I think that would be really cool. And then that's also the place, it's a part of my author brand, but it's also the place where I would talk about issues in race, class, and gender in the media, things that are popping up. It's the place where I would have talked about the Harvey Weinstein controversy and, just things happening in pop culture that I think are interesting and or compelling. Black Panther. Actually, my Black Panther review, I believe, got double posted on that blog channel. So go check that out. If you haven't seen it, don't check it out because there's spoilers. But if you have, go check it out. And I will be doing a review of Infinity War there as well, and it will be posted there once I see it on Friday. And then, I think that's about it. Like, I mean, as for like other little light stupid stuff that I did for marketing, I finally set up my 2018 project wall in my room. There are a lot of projects, as you can imagine. I'm like feeling overwhelmed at them right now, just looking at them. Like literally on the right side of my wall, right above my light switch, I have 3 rows of projects. Okay, rather, let's put it this way. 3 rows of Post-it notes. Okay, each row has 8 Post-it notes, so 24 Post-it notes. On each Post-it note is a particular project that I want to finish. So who knows if that's going to happen. Let's see, I have Hollow Point up there, The Haunt, which is book 4 in that series. I have the first 2 books in the Asylum series. I have 8 different things I want to do for the Bohemian Badass property-wise this summer. I have 8 TV projects that I want to do. I don't even know like what's happening. Oh, okay. Actually, they're stages of projects. So they're actually 2 TV projects, but like broken down into 4 stages each. So it's not that bad. The Sandman feature film script and Sandman pre-production breakdown is up there. The first 2 novels in the Hitman of Happily Ever After series is up there. It's just looking crazy. But I needed to have it in front of me because I like having those things in front of me. It makes me feel very inspired. Okay, so that's it for the marketing section. Let's talk about writing and world building. I'm so amped and so excited. Just forgive my excitement as to how much writing I got done this quadrimester, which actually, like, honestly, come to think of it, they're the same thing because they lasted about the same amount of time. But for world building and plotting, I did a lot of research this quadrimester on the Asylum trilogy world and the series that I'm writing, as well as I did a lot of world building for that series and plotting for that series. And the more I think about the Asylum trilogy, the more, because it literally went from being a trilogy to like a 4-book series with a prequel, which makes it a 5-book series. But now I feel as though it needs to be like 2 separate trilogies because there's like a major genre shift and focus shift after the first book, Sodom, and I just feel like the shift is a little too jarring to like convince the audiences that this is the same world. So this is just getting bigger and crazier. And I don't mean for it to get bigger and crazier, but like as I think and develop these properties more, all these ideas are coming to me and they make sense and I'm just getting excited. And so I can just see the entire world unfolding in front of me. And it's just exciting and I'm here for it. I'm here for my own stuff. Yeah, so right now the series is going to be 4 books long with a prequel with 2 spin-off in-betweeny series called After Asylum and Beyond Bedlam. But even, even the main 5-book series might have 2 more books added to it, making it a 7-book series. So it'd be like a part 1 trilogy, part 2 trilogy plus prequel, basically. And the prequel will be the free available opt-in for those of you who want to get in on this series and find out like all the tea about it, but you don't, you just want to taste test it kind of deal. Anyway, so I did a lot of world building, research, and plotting on that series. The same thing for the Books of Ezekiel series, a lot of world building and plotting. I also prepared a lot of spec documentation for the covers that I want. That haven't been designed yet. I just did that in my spare time. Again, when I'm really overwhelmed by graduate school or other things, I just take the time to just shift my mind into another project, a smaller mini project that I can sort of get off my plate really quickly, but that will also cleanse my palate. So I definitely did a lot of spec design. And spec design basically is when for example, as an artistic director, you for example won't be drawing the images for a cover. You won't be the graphic designer for the cover, but you know what you want the cover to look like. So you'll gather like inspirational images. You'll gather different kinds of fonts. You'll kind of lay out a theme that you want in your mind. You know what I'm saying? That you're thinking about for the whole book. And then you'll write it up in a document called a spec, that I call a spec doc, and then you'll have that ready for your graphic designer and illustrator when you're ready to commission the cover. So I did that. Let's see. Again, because I'm so transmedia, in addition to planning and plotting for the Books of Ezekiel as a whole, I continue to plot for what I call season 0 of the Books of Ezekiel series, which is basically all the things that happened before the opening of the Given. Okay. And for me, wasn't because I was trying to be super ambitious. It was because as I write Hollow Point, which is book 3, and as I write The Haunt, which is book 4, I realized that there's a lot of backstory that just is naturally sort of coming up for me in the books and for the characters and around themes and around plot. And once I know what that backstory is, I literally just go and I document it in my Scrivener file. So all that documentation of backstory, the dialogue, the plot, the world building, world events, all that eventually becomes its own thing. So eventually there will be a prequel to the Books of Ezekiel series called Wolves, Ash, and Ember. And that's not officially on the docket for development for this year yet, but it's already sort of being developed on the side as I'm working on other books anyway. So that's kind of already in process. But I'm developing that just sort of by proxy. And because I'm also transmedia, I also think about how that prequel material can be transformed into a television season, basically. Because that's what I think about all the time. Whenever I produce any intellectual property, no matter what it is, I ask myself, okay, this is a novel, but how does this look as a feature film? How does this look as a TV series? How does this look as a video game? How does this look as merchandise? These are all questions I ask myself with every single property I put out there. How does it look as an ebook series, as a paperback series, as a hardcover series, and as an audiobook series? And not just audiobooks, but like audio dramas, because those are completely different. Audio dramas are completely produced with like and basically an entire acting crew, along with a score and sound effects and things like that. So it's like a literal audio drama, whereas regular audiobooks are produced with just like one narrator maybe doing voices, maybe not, and with no sort of sound design and sound effects and stuff like that. So to me, those are two different properties in my opinion, and those are all things that can like potentially be exploited to make money. And I use exploit in like a positive way here. Usually exploitation is a bad word, but when you talk about rights exploitation for your own intellectual property rights, it's a good thing. It means money in the bank. And then I did some plotting and world building for 2054, obviously, because I could not write the Camille short story without knowing the world that it's taking place in. So I did have to do some world building. I actually am really amped about the world that's kind of forming around the Camille. I'm still not fully invested in it quite yet, but there's some really interesting ideas there. And once I start doing the research on, on the basic premises of the story, things will begin to, like, ideas begin to open up. So the Camille deals with the sex doll market and on nanotechnology and microbiology. And once I start doing more actual research on what the sex bot market, nanotech market, and microbiology field, like what they all look like, that will end up spinning into its own separate amazing world that I will feel more amped about when I pick the story up for the future to work on. So lots of world building and plotting, lots of just imaginary playtime, which I really, really love to do as an artist. And so that's what was happening. For writing, this quadrimester, I wrote a total of 44,464 words, which is the most I've written in any quadrimester since I've been an artist, or since I've, been like a writer, like an actual like published author. And having a deadline and having that deadline up my ass really helped to getting those words out on the page. Over 3/4 of that was basically geared, actually not over, but almost 3/4 of that word count was geared towards writing the 2054 story that I call the Camille. And actually, not only did I get a full short story out of that word count, but I also got about 6,000 words plus written for episode number 2 of the Camille 2054 storyline. And again, because I'm not working on it right now, I'm not really trying to push that forward in any significant way. But it's just nice that I have like the first episode short story written, and I have ideas for the second one that are already written down and in my Scrivener document, which is amazing. So, of course, again, the big push, the big finish there was that I finished that story and that I actually finished editing it on paper, and now I just get to transfer those edits to the ebook version and then send that along to my colleagues, which is great. Out of that 44,464 words, 12,221 words were written for the Books of Ezekiel series. 740 words were written for the Asylum series, and then 60 words were written for another series that I have percolating called the Godsman series. So just FYI, lots of writing going on, and not as much as I would have liked to have done, but certainly a significant amount. I got an actual finished product out of it, and it's also the most that I've written in any quadrimester since I published my novels in 2013. So I'm super excited all around about that. Oh, and then we get to like around like the end of this, end of my update, which I'm sure you guys are excited about because it's been a long ass update. But so this is gonna be like a little bit more personal, like the more personal section of my update. But before I get into that, I just want to do a quick rundown of like the stuff that I've just sort of like consumed, like intellectually. So I read 40 plays this semester across all of my classes, including full-length plays and like play shorts and 10-minute plays and things like that. I forgot to I did include the other plays I worked on. And this doesn't even, the 40 plays doesn't even include like the rewrites of the plays I was working on with my playwrights. So it's a lot of plays. There are a lot of plays that I've read this semester, and my brain is about to explode. I finished three shows: Scandal, the Defenders, and Altered Carbon, which I know, like, to you guys, is like, how is that a creative achievement? Well, when you're trying to write television, especially when you're trying to write television for Netflix, which is what I want to do, you need to consume and analyze shows. And so I did a lot of that for Scandal. I definitely did that for The Defenders. There's some issues there that I need to like critique, but whatever. And I definitely did that for Altered Carbon. And I am so excited to announce to you guys. I mean, it's not even a big announcement, but like, I am going to be rewatching that whole thing again, and like now doing a more in-depth analysis of each episode and of like the beats and everything like that, because I was just literally in love with Altered Carbon. I loved it. It had its issues and had like its confusions and its like quote problems, but overall it was very well done. I'm very much looking forward to season 2. I need it in my life right now, and I'm getting my life. I also continued watching How to Get Away with Murder and The Punisher. And these are shows that sort of like on and off have been a little bit hard to maintain my interest, but I am going to finish watching them just for like my own edification and also my own entertainment, because I feel like consuming shows is a good thing to do, even if you're not like too jazzed about those shows. Because it's just good to know like what you're excited about and what makes you like really amped, and then what doesn't really make you amped and why. And I think that How to Get Away with Murder and The Punisher are great shows that are well done, but there's just something about them that's not like just having me salivating, and I don't exactly quite know why, and I'm gonna find out. So anyway, overall, 5 TV shows watched with an analytical eye, if we want to get intellectual about it. And then I did 3 films, which included Night of the Living Dead, Cloverfield Paradox, and Black Panther. And then I also, for my creative uni, I already went over that. I'm not going to go over it again, but in total, I finished out like only 7 full classes for my creative uni. 7 signature courses, which are like the big multi-module courses, and then 3 master classes I finished. But then there are a whole bunch of other ones that I have only gotten part of the way through, so those count, but I haven't finished them. So 10 courses in all, let's just say I did. So now that I gave like a little roundup about that, I'm just gonna go into like the final part of this episode, which is a little bit more like sort of self-reflective and personal, like not too personal. I'm not going to tell y'all all the tea, but just some things here. Like I told you, like financial education has been a big thing for me in the past year and a half, and I'm just like trying to like stay up on that. And I want to do that for myself and for my family, but I also want to, well, my family being like my daughter, but I also want to be able to intelligently discuss these things on my podcast and in my courses with you guys and for you guys. Whoever's listening, my little small community who's listening to these things. And so I'm continuing that aspect of it. And, this is like a personal thing that I'm interested in, but it's also like a business and artistic thing, which is why I feel comfortable sharing about my personal journey in terms of like the 5 pillars of economic freedom. Of course, you're not going to know all the little details. That's a little bit too much revelation, but I will give enough just to kind of like just open conversations with artists and with artists of color about money management and investing and building nest eggs and like building a future where you don't have to worry necessarily about releasing 10 books in a year to pay your bills, because you already have, the 5 pillars working for you, So anyway, I talked about the 5 pillars before, not going to do it again. I will do it in a separate podcast. As a matter of fact, I did it in a separate podcast, so I might post that below. Mommying and adulting, like, I know that there's always improvement for everyone in terms of parenting, but I think I'm doing a damn good job considering the time and just the resources that I have. And the biggest thing with that this semester was introducing my daughter, my little sweet recipe to making theater. And every single day she asked me, Mommy, are we going to your job? Mommy, are we going to your job? Mommy, are we going to your job? I'm like, oh my God, we're not going to the job is over. And she gets so upset because she doesn't even like want to go to school because she wants to go to my job because she wants to like hang out with me at work because she finds theater and what I do so fun. And I just really love that. I love that I was able to introduce her to that and that I wasn't worried about what people were going to say about me bringing her into the rehearsal room, and I just sort of made it all work. And I think I've like lit some kind of fire inside of her. I mean, I don't know if she necessarily wants to be a theater artist, you know, specifically, but like the fact that she wants to be in that space and be around people and play and act and just do really great things, I think is really amazing. And I actually really want to start looking for theater programs for her because I think that she'll really, really enjoy it. So yeah, anyway, so that was for me like a major, major milestone and achievement with regard to, you know, mommying and adulting this semester. And then finally, self-care. I'm going to end on this note as I usually do because I think self-care is so incredibly important. This semester has been the best semester thus far with my recommitment to self-care. Just sleeping better, eating better, trying to develop a more active spiritual practice. You guys know I'm not religious, but I do have some spiritual tendencies, and I do reflect and think, and I do pray, and I do try to consider myself and who I am and where I am in the position of like the larger universe and in the larger energy. Say what you will about it, but that's the practice that makes me feel centered and helps me to like just reconnect with the world around me. So I've actually been engaging more in that, and my daughter, because her father is actually kind of hardcore religious Catholic, who actually might have just converted to Protestantism. But anyway, that's a side note. But in any case, either way, he's more hardcore religious, and so he prays with her every night. So she asked me to pray with her every single night. So that actually forces me to engage in some level of spiritual practice, which I really appreciate. And so, you know, it doesn't take long every single night, but it still forces me to sit and reflect and be grateful and to sit in gratitude and just reconnect with things that are not myself, which is great. So looking into like, again, back to self-care, aside from spiritual practice, like developing an exercise regimen, which has been helpful. You know, like just keeping like my self-care journal up to date and my creative journal up to date, all these things. Now I'm doing more research. As I intimated to you guys earlier, I may be trying a temporary vegan diet. We'll see, because I just sort of want to like see how it's going. It's working really well for my sister. She's really enjoying it. And she says that she doesn't really miss some of the things that she usually eats, but like she doesn't feel like she has to be a vegan warrior either. So, you know, just like being a part-time vegan is cool too. But with that, we'll see what happens, you know. And this is not really because I think that eating animals is bad, although, you know, our farming and livestock industry sucks. It sucks for not only the animals, but us too. Everybody's getting screwed over. And the animals are getting tortured and whatever. And then we're like getting really crappy food pumped full of hormones that are probably the primary reasons why a lot of us are developing cancer. But, so yes, there are those issues happening, but the main reason why I'm considering a vegan diet is because I just want to like make sure I'm doing everything that I need to do to promote my own health and longevity, you know. I just think it's important. And even if I don't go full vegan, it will at least be a really great experience. And then on top of it, like I might just do, for example, like vegan days, you know, just cutting down on the amount of like poison meat and like not so great cheese that goes into one's body is probably good, even if you don't do a complete flushing of it. I mean, you know, just so there are many different ways, in my opinion, that you can organize a diet that even if it's not full vegan, it can be like mostly vegan, or it can be, you know, you can just actively include more plant-based products and more vegan meals and smaller portion sizes, smaller meat portions, and like healthier meats, you know. So, I mean, for the most part, I've already dropped red meat Not because I don't like it, I actually do, but it literally like makes my body feel like trash, and I just can't. Like red meat and milk, I can't do. Almond milk and chicken and fish though, and occasionally pork I can do. But so like my body already, like everybody's bodies already sort of tells them what is best for them by just like its reaction to what you're doing to it. And so, I notice that when I exercise and drink water and eat more plants, like my body is happier and the skin is looking all on fleek and everything, and smile is on point, So I like feeling healthy. I like taking care of my body and taking care of my health. So that's a big part for me of like the self-care movement. And so I'm considering the vegan thing. And I'll let you guys know if I do it. I'll let you guys know like, what is going on. I think I will. And I wanted to actually start next week, but just realistically, I probably won't be ready until like June, which is my birthday month. So it actually might be an interesting little experiment to see how I'm feeling at the beginning of the month versus at the end of my month where, my birthday is. So let's see. Self-care journal, I've told you guys about that like a million times, but like that's been a big part of upgrading my self-care, just being more actively aware of my self-care and what I'm doing, how many hours I'm getting of sleep, etc. And just having that active awareness of self-care allows me to say to myself, you know what, Colby, you haven't been sleeping well for the past week. That's why you're grumpy, or that's why you're sad. That's why you're upset. Maybe you need to get more sleep. Maybe you need to take a nap. Maybe you need to like cook something or relax. So that's really helped me to become more active in my care. I told you guys before that like in the last podcast that deep focus has really, really helped me to take care of myself better and to also get more things done. And when I talk about deep focus, I'm referring specifically not to cinematography, but to the act of just focusing on one thing at a time and knocking that out the box one thing at a time. Not only does it just relieve stress because you don't feel like you're trying to manage 50 million balls at once, but it also allows you to do what you're doing with a lot more energy, precision, and efficiency. And I would not have gotten nearly the number of things done this semester had I not been involved in deep focus and deep work. So just sort of hearkening to that is Cal Newport's book called Deep Work, which I haven't read, but I do believe is the exact same concept. And I'm not trying to claim responsibility or like credit for the concept, but like I just happen to call it deep focus because that's just how it just feels more accurate to me to say that. But I actually just bought his book and I'm looking forward to reading it and just being affirmed in like what I've discovered to be like a really healthy, efficient, and really great way to work. I mean, in that way, I was able to write like a mini musical, finish a whole short story, direct 2 productions, finish out all of my grad classes, grade most of my papers, do a lot of learning, about like creativity, finances and whatnot, et cetera, et cetera. All the things that I have done that I've talked to you guys about in this podcast, I did because I literally focused on that one thing until it was done. And that really just helped out a lot. So I do want to, I did a podcast last week on deep focus. I might do another one because there's just so many things associated with that. And just sort of you getting in the zone has a lot to do with you doing deep work. Like you have to kind of consistently show up to something in order to start feeling like it's going to be a smoother process, a more sort of in the zone process. And I don't want to get into like the metaphysics of it now, but I do want to do like another podcast probably after I finish Cal Newport's Deep Work book. But that's an important concept, and I think that it just needs more than one go round. So we'll talk about that in a few podcasts. A couple of other things I did for self-care is that I hired my village. Yes, okay. When I say hiring my village, it harks back to the idea that it takes a village to raise a child, right? So with me, there is no village out here. Really, her father, her dad, my daughter's dad, is out here, but he has his own wife, his own child. They had their own life, and of course she's integrated into that. But my support system is all back east, on in New York, and so it's really just me and her out here, So I don't really have much room to have a breakdown or treat myself, or whatever, which is why I'm so huge on self-care, because if I don't take care of myself and I break down, that's it. There's nobody here to catch me if I fall, it's just me. So I have had to do things like hiring my village, because I don't really have much of a village out here whenever I need help. So I've engaged a lot more in if I need to order in dinner, for example, I will just make the sacrifice and do it. I don't like doing it. Funds are a little bit limited, but we still got to eat. And if I don't have time to cook, or I'm just too exhausted to cook, which sucks, but sometimes it happens, then I'll just be ordering in. And I've just stopped feeling badly about it, because that's just what needs to happen. I have definitely engaged much more often this semester in hiring a housekeeper, on a case-by-case basis, which I will be doing very shortly. Literally as of the end of this week, I will have her come in and do it again. It is well worth the money, and I don't feel badly about it, because I don't feel like I need to be this superwoman who can, do graduate school, work 2 TA shifts, be, basically like a full-time mom, run a business, be a novelist, and be an artist all at once. I don't feel like I need to do all of that by myself. There is assistance, and I have definitely dipped into that assistance, and that has become a very integral part of my self-care. I like having a clean house, even if I don't have the time to clean it, so I get somebody to clean it. And the great thing about that is that whenever I hire out to this particular really wonderful individual, I just love my housekeeper. She's amazing. She's like having a mom, honestly, but a mom that I pay to be a mom. She is just so grateful and happy, and it's just, she just brings a wonderful energy. Not that she doesn't have to kiss my ass, it's not anything that I need, but I don't feel, there's no room there for me to feel bad, because she enjoys being able to come and make money of her own accord, so I feel like not only am I helping myself, but I'm helping her, which is great. So yeah, I'm hiring my village, and if I need to hire some more villagers to be a part of this, child rearing, working mom process, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's how I'm going to take care of myself. Hobbies and play. I started again lightly dabbling back into some more hobbies, very lightly, because I haven't really had much time this semester, but I'll be definitely doing more hobbies over the summer, like some drawing, crocheting, some coloring. I have some books where I'm learning how to draw the human figure. And coloring and drawing is just a really lovely, relaxing, sort of mindless thing. I mean, not saying that drawing is easy. It's not. It does take skill, and it does take time and practice, but it's not something that I have to actively analyze in the moment, at least not for what I want to do. I don't want to be a professional drawer. So, I just want to draw and just learn how to do figures a little bit better. And so I'm just excited to sort of engage in that a little bit more. And having more tactile hobbies for me is really important, because a lot of the work that I do that's creative and that's relaxing is actually just really intellectual work, or strongly relies on thinking power. Writing is fun, but it's work. I mean, sometimes it feels like work. Sometimes it's not as mindless as I would like it to be, or as seamless or as easy as I would like it to be. So I'm trying to find things that I can do with my hands that I can just engage with and turn my brain off a little bit, and just use different parts of my body to engage in happiness and recreation and pleasure or whatever. Actually, that sounds a little bit dirty, although that's not a bad kind of pleasure either, but you guys know what I mean. Anyway, let's move on. And then finally, the major way that I've been trying to take care of myself this semester, which has, succeeded in certain points and failed at other points, was again my graduate school recusal. Like, I took days off when necessary. I had to really practice and set up a lot of boundaries this semester, which sometimes was a painful process and still is a painful process, because people do not want to respect those boundaries, or they want you to do certain things and engage in certain things in certain ways, or they're putting their standards onto you. And sometimes a lot of times for me, those standards do not work. And it's just more pressure, because I already have super high standards for myself in terms of the things that I want to do and how I want to achieve stuff. So having more standards on top of an already obsessively perfectionist mindset is not healthy for me. I'm already trying to dial back the perfectionism. So I really had to step back from graduate school in many different ways. And, just put up boundaries, stay out of politics as much as I possibly could. Although that got sticky towards the end of the semester, when I had to engage with certain authorities here in the department to intervene with certain toxic and unhealthy cultures that were being developed. So I had to sort of, get back involved in the grad school sort of rat race a little bit. But I'm still actively trying to separate myself as much as possible from all of the bureaucracy, the politics, and the drama that comes with graduate school. I just focus on what I'm here to do, which is get my education, get my MFA, basically like rebuild my life. Because as you guys know, when I got here, I was essentially like on the run in a lot of ways, like not from the law, but like just like trying to reboot and revamp my entire life, and reestablish my independence as a woman, because I had just left a really, really horrible relationship. And so like graduate school in a lot of ways is being here is not necessarily about the politics or the bureaucracy of graduate school. It's about me and the different areas of my life in which I'm trying to experience a renaissance and a growth and an evolution. And that's one of them in terms of just like reestablishing my independence, which I have, and I'm really excited to have. So just remembering why I'm here has allowed me in many ways to recuse myself from certain parts of the grad school drama. And I'm just looking forward to doing that even more as of literally this Sunday, all the way up until I graduate. And just pull back as much as I possibly can and only get involved when it involves academics or directing or my thesis. I even told my faculty that they should not expect to really see me on campus or in the department that much next year, unless I have office hours, classes, a meeting, and that's it. Like, because I'm not trying to be in that environment. Next year is going to be more about retooling my wonderful independence, my, situation here into like, rather retooling that and translating that into a new life in New York City, where my family is, where my support system is. It's going to be about making sure that my businesses are making money, or my business, Rebel Ragdoll, is making money to support us. It's making sure that I can get as many of my intellectual properties out there in the world as possible that are providing a passive income. It's about making sure that, all my financial, emotional, and mental ducks are in a row, that I'm taking care of myself, and that I'm preparing for the next step in my career and in my life. That's what my next year is about. And so that's what my recusal is about. Because when you're in graduate school, it becomes all about academia and what the academics want. And I don't want to be an academic. So I have to step back in order to make sure I'm achieving the professional, financial, entrepreneurial, and personal goals that I first set out to achieve when I stepped foot in Tucson. And so I'm always making sure I'm reevaluating that and keeping that in my mind's eye. So that is basically that, y'all. Oh my gosh. I wanted to actually go into the goals on this podcast, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to end this as a roundup and as a wrap up. And I will probably end up recording another podcast on Thursday or on Friday. actually maybe a couple podcasts over the course of the next couple of days, dealing with my goals for the next quadrimester, which is from May 1st to August 31st, and just outlining my summer plans and the things that I want to do. And then I also will record another podcast on the Infinity Wars movie, which will contain spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, do not listen to it. Okay, just an FYI and a warning up front. But I'm almost there, guys. After this paper is in on Sunday, after these other papers are regraded from my class, and then after I give a final next week and have a meeting next week, I'm pretty much done. I consider myself to be done pretty much by Sunday because I don't really have anything else going on after that. But as of like next Monday is when my summer vacay officially begins. I'm here for it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. And I just can't wait to really dive into the stuff I really, really want to get into, which is the redevelopment, and the relaunch of The Bohemian Badass, me publishing my my fourth novel, or my fourth like project or property in my author's career this year, me working on finishing and publishing more properties this year, and et cetera, et cetera. And then also, of course, working on developing a variety of television series, specifically the Pendragon TV series based on the King Arthur legends with my friends. So there are a lot of things to look forward to in the summer. I'm super excited, and I can't wait. Also, FYI, I will be getting a P.O. box soon for myself and my business. I noticed that a lot of online content creators are doing that. I guess, I don't know, like I people are like sending them stuff or want to send them stuff, which I think is great. I'm not saying I'm that big to be getting stuff, but if y'all want to send some stuff along, some, even just like a little nice note, that's fine too. So eventually I will be getting a PO box to kind of put along with my businesses. If you guys want to like just even reach out, if just like write like a note, or like, I don't know, if you want a book signed or something, I'm totally open to that. And you could just send it out to the PO box. So stay tuned for that. But this has been a very long update. Okay, so I'm going to actually take a page out of my own book now that I've ended with self-care. I'm going to take care of myself and go eat, go take a nap, and just chill. And I will see you guys later in the week with a goals update for the next quadrimester and the Infinity War movie review. Okay? I'll see you guys later. Stay badass, stay indie, keep creating, keep showing up, keep pursuing your dreams and all that cheesy but important stuff. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Mwah.